called at-risk pensions and other pensions. There are a heck of a lot of at-risk pensions in Florida that are doing a good job. And on the F side, you'll see they tend to be, again, a mixture. You get some Fs that are general employee plans as well. We also looked at cost, and we find, not surprisingly, the A plans that are paid for tend to be the cheaper plans. The A plans, the median, which means that if you arrayed all the plans, it's the middle plan, is $5,784. Dollars per participant. The F plans, the median or the middle was $26,305. So there is a pretty strong correlation between plans that have controlled their costs and the ones that also have the balance of the assets and the liabilities. This is one I'd probably be a favorite with you. This is the types of plans, and you'll see elected officials are the top here. But before we run out and lynch elected officials, many of whom are here, and we don't want to lynch you, this is this is a very small number. There are only a very small number of pensions that are just for elected officials. So elected officials are generally in the other pensions. So we'll ignore that. But what this does tell you is, again, for general employees, the median cost is much cheaper than for police and firefighters. There's lots of reasons here. They're at risk. They have different kinds of promises. There's different state laws, but they are more expensive. Here's Broward County plans, plan costs, and the low-end Plantation general employees, Delray Beach general employees, Pompano Beach general employees, all at the low end. At the high end, there's Parkland Police, Pembroke Pines Police and Fire, and Hollywood Fire. And some of this, the Hollywood Fire, well, Hollywood's kind of been in the news about this kinds of issues. I will say that some of these, there may be individual reasons. There may be that, I was talking yesterday actually to the lobbyist for the firemen, and he was telling me that there's some plans that have really recognized the problem and they have like a big plan to get out of it, and these numbers clearly don't reflect that. But that gives you a sense of what's going on. So finally, what we've done at, I know you can't read this, finally at the LeRoy Collins Institute is we believe in making recommendations. So we recommended a number of changes to the legislature. I won't go into details unless you're interested, but there are a number of state laws that very much affect local pensions. And we have some recommendations for both local governments and state governments. I didn't mention health benefits here, but that is another area that we are also looking at. It's something called OPEBs, other post-employment benefits. And the OPEBs are also very expensive on local governments. One of the things that we were just shocked about actually was that the municipal pension plans are overseen by a state office. There is a state office in the DMS, the Department of Management Services, that looks at local pension plans. Counties are under the state, but they also look at municipal. Nobody at the state level is even looking at health plans. So again, that's a kind of a promise that we are making to public employees for all the right reasons, but we really need to look at the costs of those plans. And there's a kicker, a state law that's very important here that we're recommending being changed. And our biggest goal is transparency. As I mentioned, pensions tends to be one of those issues that's very kind of obtuse, and people don't like to worry about their own, much less somebody else's. But our point is that it's so important because if these pensions aren't being dealt with, then that money that should be going to services for everybody else are going to have to go repay those pension costs. And as I said, 25 cities are really looking at this in Florida, and I think there will be more, I'm sure. I also brought some material with me, including our rating list, so you could see completely how every plan that we rated for cities in Florida is. So the good news from our point of view in terms of both the revenues and pensions, the good news on the pension side is you have these cities trying to deal with their pension problems, which I think is wonderful. The state did pass a law in 2011 which made a few changes in this area. The economy, looks like the economy is improving. There's an uptick in revenues. The bad news, I think, from local government is that sometimes the people in the state have a sort of a tin ear about local government. They tend to put things on the ballot and they tend to pass laws that adversely affect local government, cut revenue sources, reduce property taxes, and there isn't much of a state support for that. There's a TABOR, or a Taxpayer Bill of Rights, that's going to be on the ballot this fall that will control state spending. It doesn't apply to local, but we know from that IGR chart that if revenues go down, the local governments state aid is going to go down as well. And then finally, there just seems to be kind of a lack of concern in Tallahassee about local governments. So what we're trying to do is give information to the state, give information to local governments about these key areas, and hopefully have them realize that you just can't sort of affect local government revenue bases and do unfunded mandates and all these things and not expect local governments to be affected. Thank you very much.
Well, I've asked our next speaker to briefly talk about navigating through the Great Recession. He's someone many of you have known for years, and you've seen him on TV. In fact, CNBC should sign him to a contract. He's what I call a hometown and homegrown talent. He was just recently named by Automotive News as a member of the 2011 All-Star team for the 7th time. Mike is the only individual named both as a manufacturer and a dealer. Mike played a key role with Ron Bloom and the Auto Task Force in what many have said is the rebirth of the domestic auto industry. Last year, he was appointed to the Federal Reserve Bank in the Atlanta, Miami branch. And in 2011, Mike was named by Fortune magazine as one of the top 50 world business leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, our own Mike Jackson.
Moon, thank you. First, Dr. Moon, you're a very trusting individual. You say to a car salesman from New Jersey, go up and tell everybody for the next few minutes how great you are. That's an irresistible invitation. Thank you. There's no question that the auto industry is a bright spot in an otherwise fragile U.S. economic recovery. We've gone from the death spiral where an industry that normally should sell 16, 17 million units a year crashed to 9 or 10. We're in our third year of recovery, and it's sustainable. And we're on a journey back to 16, 17 million units. And underpinning it are three fundamental drivers. One, a genuine replacement need. So many people postponed purchases of vehicles during the economic crisis that have pushed out the average age of cars in America to 11 years. The average age is 11 years old. So every day we're looking at vehicles that really need to be replaced. And the industry continued to invest in the crisis in new products, every manufacturer, and continue to innovate. And the replacement rate has dramatically increased. Normally 15% of what we offer each year is new. It's now 30%. And we finally have a match between what the American consumer wants and what the industry has to offer. And I can't make the example more clear than the simple issue around gasoline prices. In 2008, $4 a gallon freaked out the American consumer and was devastating to our industry because we didn't have fuel efficiency. Today, $4 a gallon, people are not panicked, and every manufacturer offers dramatic improvements in fuel efficiency. Whether you still want a sport utility vehicle, you don't have to give up the size or the performance, and you can get a 20 to 40% improvement in fuel efficiency. And finally, unlike 2008 and 2009, today we have very good financing for our customers. You know, the banking industry, after all the dust settled, looked around, and lo and behold, this is unbelievable, the number one payment in the line for consumers is their car payment. The car payment comes before the house, the credit cards, or anything else. We never had a 60-day late rate above 1% in the car industry. And, oh, by the way, if you don't make your payment, we'll come get your car. It works. So, we have an industry recovery, and I am very proud with my partner, Mike Maruding, in leading this enterprise and our 20,000 associates, what they were able to achieve during this unbelievable death spiral and the recovery coming back. And there is a story behind it. And the story goes all the way back to 2000 when I first joined AutoNation. I went to have lunch with our founder, Wayne Huizinga. Now, Wayne and I, we do all business at lunch, from all the way back then to today. Let me describe a lunch with Wayne. The waiter comes to the table and says, "Hello, my name is," and Wayne goes, "I will have." And we order immediately. As soon as the order is in, he says, "What do you got?" And somewhere between 14 and 18 minutes later, the lunch is over, and I'm not talking drive-through McDonald's. It's great. That's how we do business. So I go to Wayne and I say, "Wayne, now I'm new with the company." I said, "Listen, I think the business model that the Detroit 3, the domestics have, is irrational, it's unsustainable, and there's going to be a day of reckoning. I don't know when it is. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it's going to come. And we need to stress test our company." This is long before stress tests were invented. "We need to see what that's going to mean to our company when that happens." And without flinching, Wayne, with those blue eyes, said, "Mike, you're right, do it." Now imagine, this is during 2000 boom times. There's no storm clouds on the horizon. Doing a stress test in good times is not very intuitive. So we looked at it, and we concluded that the industry volume could fall to 10 million, and there would be two factors that happened. One, there would be a financial crisis. That's the only way, if you withdraw credit from our customers, that you can get down to depression-level sales, and that it would be devastating to the domestics, and their irrational business model would not get through it very well. So now here's the fork in the road for a company. Okay, was that a mental exercise, or are you going to act on the implications of that stress test? And we acted on it. At that time, our company was 65% domestic business. That wasn't going to work in a crisis, and we had to change over our portfolio to something else. Also, we were in the direct lending business, and we said, you know, we can't deal simultaneously with a financial crisis and what that would mean to our balance sheet at the same time dealing with a shakeout with the domestics. So we made those changes in good times, and the good times continued right through 2008. Yeah, we had signs of recession, but you know, a day that will live in economic infamy, September 15th, 2008, when the Lehman Brothers $1 trillion balance sheet went precipitously into bankruptcy from one day to the next. This was the big one. And we knew it immediately. We had a management meeting the next day and said, okay, this is it. This is what we have a plan that we prepared for. So, listen. First thing was, no woe is me. Everybody go home, have a good cry. Bad things happen in the journey of life. It's here. We're going to have to deal with it. But the next day, we're going to come together. We have our plan. I know it's one thing to have a fire drill and actually have to deal with the fire. They're two completely different things, but we have a plan. We know exactly what we're going to do. And we have a very simple goal. We will make it to the other side of the abyss. I don't know what the other side of the abyss exactly is going to look like, but we are going to be on the other side of the abyss, and we are going to be bigger and stronger than any of our competitors. They're going to have difficulty dealing with this because they're not prepared like we are prepared, and therefore we will outperform them during this difficult period. And we had three underlying principles to drive our performance during that period. Number one, we had already identified the best talent within our company. We knew exactly who they were. And we said, whatever it takes, on the other side of the abyss, the best talent will still be with us. Whatever it takes. We will lose no talent. Second, our competitors are going to lose good talent. They're going to make mistakes. Talent is going to come to the marketplace. We're not going to hang back. All the good talent that's going to come to the marketplace, whether we have a job for them or not, we hire them. We will be the talent magnet. Second, we're going to continue our drive on innovation. As a matter of fact, we're going to accelerate our drive on innovation. We have plans for the next 2, 3, 4 years on innovation. We're going to take year 4 and bring it forward to today. Because the mindset of all the associates will be, and it was, listen, I'm thrilled to still have a job. It is bad out there. Tell me what I can do to make it better. And whereas innovation, normally you have resistance and disruption, and it's unproductive to implement, in a crisis, everyone pulls together and says, I will do whatever it takes. So we were able to achieve 2, 3, 4 years of innovation in 18 months. And finally, we said, we have a strong balance sheet. For a given reason, for a moment like this, we will continue to invest. We will not pull back. We will continue to invest in the future. And those were our underlying guiding principles. So here I stand today, more optimistic about the American automobile industry in total than I've ever been in my 40-year career. Do I see the irony that to sweep away the bad practices and the bankrupt business model in our industry? It pains me as a free market Republican to say the next sentence, but it took the U.S. government to straighten out our industry. That's a sad day when it comes to that, but that's what it took. But today we have a new industry. There's a renaissance with the domestics. The total industry is in great shape. So you may say then to me, well, then, Mike, what's left to worry about? Well, I can tell you what's left to worry about. I worry about America at this point. You know, hey, listen, don't get me wrong. We are a God bless America company. We are a U.S.-based company. We make all our money in the U.S. We pay our taxes in the U.S. Sometimes I feel I'm in the tax collection business, not the car selling business. You know, but America is the greatest place in the world to do business. Imagine 350 million people, a fraction of the world's population, figure out how to create the greatest economy in the world, $15 trillion. And they did it with innovation, free enterprise, aspiration, and entrepreneurship. But, you know, we still need a functioning federal government to have a long-term plan that supports this free enterprise system that we have in America. And it's getting to the point where we're no longer solving our long-term problems. They're building, not getting resolved. And you can pick the issue, and you can see where the dysfunction in Washington is raising the stakes. Now, at the end of the day, I remain optimistic about America, you know? It took a Brit to say, Winston Churchill, yeah, America gets it wrong, but at the end of the day, America always does the right thing. My hope is America will still do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. Wonderful. Our next speaker and the keynote speaker is someone that knows a lot about the financial situation that we face in America. He was featured on CNN not so long ago as saying if there were a third-party candidate, it could be David Walker. His wealth of information comes from his time as Comptroller General of the U.S. government. He was appointed unanimously by 3 Senates under Reagan, Clinton, and Bush. He left that job and went on to run the Peterson Foundation when was its first CEO, and today he is the founder and president and CEO of Come Back America Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable David Walker.
It's a pleasure to be back in Florida and in Broward County. My wife is a distant relative of Ponce de Leon. I think that he has something to do with Florida. I went to high school in Coral Gables. I spent some time in Plantation. 1 semester at Broward Community College. Now Broward College. My uncle was the force behind consolidating city and county government in Jacksonville, Duval County, Florida. My father was head of Southern Bell for Broward County at one point in time, Dave Walker, same name. And so it's really good to be back here. Plus, I see the Miami Dolphins have a table. I actually worked for the Miami Dolphins in high school. George Wilson, when he was head coach, lived across the street from me. I lived with the Dolphins during summer camp, traveled some with them, so it's good to see that. Hopefully we're going to